Do consider I have a dog bite today, so I was having my dressing, so it took late for me to come here.
Hello and good morning to everyone. My name is Aritra and today I will be your host for this webinar. So, our today's topic is mobile astrophotography and our speaker for today's session is Mr. Amit Raka. He is a citizen scientist and has done various citizen science projects. He is also an amateur astronomer, wildlife, and astrophotographer. So, without further ado, I would like and request Mr. Amit Raka to continue with today's session.
Hello, good morning, everyone. I hope I'm loud and clear. People?
Yes, sir, you are clear
Okay,
and
that's
audible.
nice. Very good morning to one and all. Today, definitely, we are going to do something which is not everyone knows it, or if they know it, they don't know how to deal with it. So, that is astrophotography with mobile phone. You can start your astronomy with just your mobile phone. That's it. You don't need heavy equipments, load of telescopes, nothing. If you want and if you're interested, you can start just with simple mobile phone. So without any further ado, let's start with it. How we have to do. I'll just go through my journey, how I started and how I came into astrophotography. And it was not so easy in those days, but yes, it is amazing to be an astrophotographer. So today's session will be mostly on the beginner's guide and not on the the professional one. So do consider if someone already knows it. I'm pretty sure you will learn something new today because it's just the matter of give and take kind of thing. There are some basic myths about night sky. So just we'll go through it. Actually, there is list of it, but I'll just cover these few points. Like the moon cannot be seen in the daytime. Most of them think that moon is only visible in the night and not in the daytime. So definitely, this is a big myth that many of them, even at very elderly age, they don't realize this. Star twinkles. I'm pretty sure most of you who are of science background or who have seriously studied in their school life, they know why star twinkles. It is just because of our atmospheric interference. Polaris has always been the pole star. So again, this is a myth that Polaris has always been the the North Pole star. We know today that every 12,000 years or like 25,000 years, the North Pole star changes. So as we know, the Earth's tilt changes. So the same way it is. And Polaris is the brightest star. Again, it is a myth in India, at least I'll consider, because we have heard about like Dhruva Tara sabse bright star hai. So it's not like that it's the brightest, but the evidence shows that our civilization is as old as 12,500 years. Because if you go back into time and see and try to observe which was our pole star, you will see the star was Vega star, which is in Lyra constellation. So it is one of the brightest star, I would say. It is not the brightest, but yes, it is one of the brightest star. Shooting star is really, it's a real star. That is again, it's just a rock. Nothing else more than that. It is just space debris, we can say, of the leftover of our solar system. This was my first shot of the night sky ever clicked. It's not that I didn't knew about photography before this, but yes, because I was into wildlife photography, I was doing it, so I knew the basic terms of photography, but I have never taken the night sky. So this was my first shot ever taken. Again, this is with a DSLR. I'm pretty sure. I'll go through some mobile shots also, what I take right now, but you will see a drastic change. Even with a DSLR, the photo was not as good as with mobile today. because today mobile has developed amazing cameras, amazing technology. You have multiple cameras, you have megapixels, so the technology is improving. You have long exposures also today, and moreover you have many more things coming into, and I'm pretty sure in coming few years you will enjoy mobile photography. This is again the same shot on the 8th May. Fortunately, this was the shot on 8th May. Actually, it was night of 7th May, but technically it will be called as 8th May. But yeah, it is the same day of the year, the month. I shot it on 2016. So these were not pretty good shot, as you can see. They were not so appealing. Neither they had good saturation, neither they have good clarity. Because I was new to it, I didn't knew what to do. Only thing I was aware of is, in low light condition, you have to boost up your ISO. You have to, reduce your shutter speed. That's it. Nothing apart from that I knew. And you will be saying, what else should we know? There are many things you should know. Let's jump into it. This is again a 2019 photograph, recent photograph you can say of the. But again, this is with a DSLR. Again, this is from Pachmari, MP. There actually the dark skies are pretty good. Still, I will say I didn't had a lot of access to certain things, so photographs were not so beautiful. But this is mobile photograph of 2021. 11th June 2021. So you can see the potential of your mobile phone today. Yes, definitely the quality will be a bit downgraded compared to a DSLR, even though you have a very huge amount of difference in the pixels. But still, the sensor of a DSLR is really very big comparatively. But yeah, it is nevertheless it is quite worthwhile to take photographs with mobile. And this is just a simple these are some advanced techniques through which you can enhance your photographs. Like if you see towards the left, it is just one photograph of the Milky Way, raw photograph rather I will say, and towards the right is stacked and edited photograph. This is recently I have taken on 2nd May. You can see this is just because there is a lot of light pollution you can see in the horizon. So not very dark skies I have in near my city, and I have to really travel,
Excuse me,
far away.
sir.
Yes,
Hello, sir. Sir, your screen is not visible.
my screen is not visible.
No, sir.
Oh, so sorry, guys. You should have informed me on the initial stages. Oh, okay. No worries. I'll just go through it. So this was my first image. You can see with the DSLR 2016, the same day of the month. And they were not so amazing, I will say, because yeah, I didn't knew it. But for me at that time, it was wow. These were wow photographs because it was my first time. Later on in 2019, yeah, here we have pretty dark skies, so I had a pretty good photograph. This is the first photograph you can say from the mobile phone in 2021. So this is the potential of your mobile phone today. This is the difference between a raw photograph and a stacked edited photograph. So this is certainly an advanced technique which we won't be covering, but I'm just giving you an idea. Yes, there are many techniques we can go through it. This is the the recent photograph of the Milky Way. Just on 2nd of May, I have taken it. This is something I would say, yes, you can do it with your mobile phone, but not all mobile phone has this facilities. So it's okay. Not no need to worry, especially the iPhone and Samsung users. iPhone users don't have long exposure, options or pro mode. So they have to download other softwares to access the pro mode. And in certain, like in high ranges of Samsung mobiles, yes, you do have, but in low or in certain sectors, you don't have access to pro mode. And even if you have only access to ISO, not shutter speed. So there is a limitations into it. But yeah, there are options for that. You can go ahead and purchase some of these softwares. Now this is a video, so just try to understand how I did it. And yes, that was a meteorite actually, and I was pretty happy to capture that meteorite, fortunately. And moreover, it was a green meteorite. So mind blowing. This is again a time lapse video from my mobile phone. Fortunately, I do have access to certain modes in my own stock camera, so I'm pretty lucky one, I would say. I didn't thought of it before purchasing it, but yeah, after purchasing, I realized that was really amazing. But yes, even you can have shooting star in between your session, and this is the same, you can say, time lapse of Milky Way, which has been shot recently. So let's I was just towards the roadside. That's why you can see in between there were some vehicles moving around. Fortunately, it is not so a road that is accessible to the vehicles. It is still it is off road kind of thing. But yeah, still there were some vehicles, so it has disturbed it. Yes, fortunately, you have, unfortunately or fortunately, I'm not sure about you guys, but yes, you have to move towards the dark skies. You have to get away from the light pollution. If you want to photograph these kind of images, you have to move away from your setting so that you don't have a lot of light pollution interfering it, especially the long exposure photography, and overall it will impact your visibility of the details, especially. Now it is not only restricted toward to the Milky Way or star trail, but yes, you can shoot moon, stars, planets, and I didn't added the recent photograph of the alignment of all the four planets in the morning sky, but that those are also pretty beautiful views to be captured. And yes, we can move ahead. Again, this is Saturn and Moon. So if you see over here, we have Saturn, Jupiter, and Moon. Only thing is, you should take interest. If you see, there is a Milky Way also over here, but because I shot it from my city, so it's not visible. And because I'm sharing my screen, so I'm pretty sure you might not be able to see. I'm able to see very, very, very faint details over here. So there is a Milky Way over here. This is moon halo, you can say. So it is again amazing phenomena that happens very rarely, especially in the country like India, where it's a hot country, not a cold country. For a cold country, it's a pretty common phenomena where moon halo, sun halo happens every single time. Yeah, we have moon halo, sun halos pretty common. Like once in a year, you will see somewhere around India, so that's okay. Like this is sun halo. This is how it looks. And what I have seen is you cannot photograph sun halo with your DSLR, the 1855 lens, because it doesn't fits into the. It is so huge that it doesn't fits into the screen of 18 lens. You need to have much wider angle lens than that. Then only you will be able to fit it. So fortunately, mobile has a pretty big, wide angle compared to DSLR. So fortunately, you are lucky one to be, you can capture this just with your mobile phone. Again, this is Moon and Mercury, and then some evening sky, western sky, long evening. This is again crescent moon with Mercury and Venus. And don't compare your photographs with someone who is already into it and get disappointed. Yes, you should get inspired looking up to them, and you should understand that there is a difference between a mobile and a DSLR. There is a very huge difference between a mobile and DSLR. So this is again a mobile photograph, a zoomed photograph. So you definitely, you can see how pixelated it is. It is like, it is quite not pretty pleasing to eyes. So when you zoom with your mobile phone, definitely it doesn't look good. Now this is something you can observe. The moon is jumping in between Saturn and Venus. So in the next photograph here, you can see it has jumped. So this you can understand, and try make understand kids also how moon is traveling in your night sky and how it is shifting from one place to another. And these are some FAQs, I can say. Pretty sure I am, everyone has these kind of questions, and they always ask me. First and utmost important is how much investment do you require for a good clicks. I will say no, no investment required. Whatever you have with you is the best thing or the best equipment you should shoot with and start with. Yeah, what is important is your time, patience, and practice. That's it. That is what is required, because that is what, you will see the difference between a person who is trying to learn more and he becomes pro. So pro, or professional people try to learn and invest more time into it rather than going into fancy gears. I don't deny that fancy gears are not used or not worth. Definitely they are worth, but you need to understand they are not the reason to click beautiful photographs. As you have seen in my case, in the initials, I took DSLR photograph and they weren't as beautiful as today I am taking with just a mobile phone. So it's all about your practice, patience, and time. You need to learn certain things with your camera. You need to understand how your camera works and how is your camera. What is the best camera? Again, the thing you have, your mobile phone, your DSLR, anything you have, that is the best camera you can shoot with. The best place right now, I will recommend definitely, as per the pandemic, I will say home sweet home. You can start with your home, and later on when you are confident, you feel that okay, now I have started understanding how to take astrophotography, then you can shift and go away from the city and you can have fun with it. What is the best style? Again, because every professional photographer or amateur photographer have their own style of photographing. So it's okay to get inspired by others, but I will recommend to have your own style, have your own kind of creativity in your photographs. This is pretty important. For whom is this session? This session is only for those people who are ready to take a deep interest, a keen interest into astrophotography. And yes, time, patience is what is required a lot. We will jump into some comparison and understanding what are the technical terminologies of astrophotography or photography in itself. So this is just a mere comparison between human eye and camera. That is how humans got inspired by the human eye and made some equipment which can actually resemble our eyes and do it. So yes, it do resembles, like the pupil is like your aperture, your iris is like your diaphragm, and your entire sensor is like your retina. So that is how it works. The only difference is what your eyes see many a times is not what your camera sees. And many a times what your camera sees is not what your eyes sees. Now, what do I mean by that? Like your eyes can see, the stars in the night sky. But for camera, you need to adjust the settings to make the camera look upon the night sky. Otherwise, you will see all the images are black, nothing else than that. And in case of camera, like Milky Way, you cannot see with your eyes the way it is presented right now. It is just a very faint dust of clouds if you go to really dark place. Otherwise, you won't be able to see at all. But your camera sees it in long exposures. So you need to understand the difference, the distinction between your eyes and the camera, what your eyes see, what your camera see, and understand and try observing it and try to portray it in that way. I won't go into the definition of photography, but it is just simply capturing, and freezing the moment in digital format. That is how photography is today. Because earlier we used to have reels, so that was really, and today we have only Insta reels. We don't have those reels and reel cameras. So yes, fortunately, you are lucky people. Astrophotography is like you have to understand many concepts before entering into it. If you want not to get disappointed, then yes, you need to understand certain things. Stellarium is the best software, the best application to and free. It's the important thing. It's completely free on laptop, PC, and your mobile phone. So you can go ahead and download Stellarium and start observing the night sky in Stellarium and the current positions of planets, Milky Way, Moon, stars, and try to understand the night sky. So it is quite beautiful software to explore and to understand the night sky. And understanding the night sky, why it is important, especially the movement of the night sky, because you should be able to understand what I have to shoot. Like I was pretty sure I have to shot north poles, the north star trail. So the Polaris should be in the dead center. So for that, you need to understand the night sky, even your camera. So that is how it goes. Constellation and its features, like Orion has nebula, Orion has the Orion belt, it has something more. And if you go in Cassiopeia, Cassiopeia has its own importance. In front of Cassiopeia, you have Andromeda galaxy. in Big Dipper, Small Dipper. So every constellation have their own features. There are some red stars, there are some blue stars, there are some white stars. So you can understand, you can try to explore what are they and how I can capture it and how it will affect my photograph. That is what you should understand. And finding the target with a reference star, that is, I won't say this is related to astrophotography with mobile phone, but this is more related to astrophotography with your telescope, because you have to guide yourself through other stars to reach at that particular targeted object. It may be a planet, it may be a star, it may be something nebula kind of thing, deep sky object or anything. Moon is pretty big, but other targets are pretty faint, like Andromeda galaxy. So you cannot directly point and say, oh, this is Andromeda galaxy with a big telescope. So you need to understand how to find your targets with reference stars. And understanding the direction is also pretty easy and important also at the same time. You should know which is north, south, east, west, just by looking at the star and at that particular moment. So this requires just few minutes a day. You have to study that set once you are acquainted with. Understanding your camera, as I have earlier told you, it's pretty important. And shooting and processing the image, yes, definitely. In astrophotography, post-processing is very important, very important. Earlier it used to take at least I would say 12 hours, 16 hours, or even days for processing me a single image captured by a DSLR. Fortunately, mobile has very small size images, so you can just edit it or process it in few hours. But yes, that also depends upon your configurations of your PC. Now, these are the three pillars. These are basic three pillars of photography. Doesn't matter what kind of photography you are doing. You are doing wildlife, portrait, night sky, anything. These three always will be the base of your photography. Shutter speed, which is also known as exposure, ISO, and aperture. We won't be covering aperture over here because you don't have option of changing the aperture in the mobile phone, especially in the pro mode. You do have in the portrait mode, but not in pro mode. So we won't be covering aperture today. We'll be focusing upon exposure and ISO. Shutter speed is what? Shutter speed is the duration, the duration of the sensor getting exposed to the light. Like there is the shutter in front of your camera. So it opens up and close. So it opens up for that particular of time that you have allotted. Like if it's 1/4000, so it will open for just one by 4000th of a second. That's it. If it's a 30-second exposures, so it will be opened, like it will be exposed to the light for all 30 seconds completely. That is how shutter speed actually works. And as we move into astrophotography, yes, long exposures are pretty important, and because it's low lighting condition, and for that you need steadiness. So you should have something on which you can rely on, like it's a tripod, or a gunny bag, or you can use dagad pod also. Dagad pod is simply you can place your mobile anywhere around where you are. Try to take support of it to keep your mobile as steady as possible, because human hand cannot sustain such a long exposures. So steadiness is pretty important when it comes to astrophotography. Now, what does shutter speed actually does to our photograph? If you see, I'll move from left to right and try to make you understand. Now, if there is bright light or daytime condition, especially in the summer season, you can increase your shutter speed to 1/8000 till 8000 and beyond it, because what's important here is to capture the motion, and you have plenty of light over there. And second important thing is freezing the motion. If there is some person moving, so you have to freeze, like it's in sports. If you want to freeze the car, or the person who is running, so you have to use the higher shutter speed. I'll consider it for higher and lower side, but you need to understand some technical terms. So it is higher side, so you can freeze the motion. But as I move towards the left side of the graph, or left side of the panel, you will see slowly the man is becoming blurred, because my exposure is getting longer and longer and longer. So if it is low lighting condition, you have to use low shutter speed. You might have faced this problem a lot of time, especially when you are taking videos and photographs in the night time with your mobile phone, or even with your DSLR. You might have faced this problem a lot of time. Your images are pretty blurred. So this is just because your camera, even in auto mode, your camera is trying to compensate the lighting condition. So it is increasing the ISO also and reducing the shutter speed at the same time. So you cannot freeze the motion. So this is pretty important. Now this will come with practice. You should practice this. How I can freeze the motion, how I can create blurriness in motion. One of the pretty important thing is the light trail in the cities. The vehicles moving. Many times you will see photographers have captured a moving vehicle, but vehicle is nowhere visible, but only the light trail is visible. So those are long exposure photography. So wherein vehicle is not at all visible, but the light emitted by their tail light and headlights are pretty intensely captured, and it is being stored in the camera. So that is how low lighting condition and long exposure works. Uh, this is something which is related to astrophotography, I will say, because when you are capturing astrophotography, this is what should be your aim: 1/8 to 32 seconds. Why I'm telling 1/8? Because moon photography, especially when its moon is more than a quarter, that time you cannot go below 1/8 of a second, because it's pretty bright and it really washes off your images. So you have to be on the higher side of your shutter speed. So you can't do anything. That's why we prefer moonless night rather than moon night if you want to photograph Milky Way or deep sky objects or any other object which can get impacted because of the moonlight. So that is one thing. But yes, again, there will be a lot of motion into it. So even you need to understand at what speed you are moving. Like we are moving as Earth, because we are rotating and revolving around the sun. You need to understand that, okay, this is the motion can be captured. You will see in 32 seconds, there will be a star trail. There will be a star trail into the photograph. But it is so minute that you don't realize it unless and until you zoom it a lot. When you zoom it, then only you will be able to see, even in 32 seconds with mobile phone of which has an angle of 120 degree, you will still have a movement of the star. So that means in 120 degrees, stars are moving in 32 seconds. But it's okay, it is manageable. I won't say it is not manageable, but it is manageable provided it is very steady. I'll just run through this video. Try to observe how the shutter speed of your camera works. Unfortunately, I don't have mobile phone shutter, so I have taken this video from the internet of DSLR. Now we need to understand this. You saw how a shutter works, and even the mirror that goes up and down, especially in the crop camera. Today we have mirrorless cameras, so they don't have these mirrors into it. But as a beginner, most of them purchase a low end or a beginner's camera where you have mirror, where you have a prism to see through viewfinder. So these all the parts does matters when it comes to astrophotography, because these equipments create jerk. You saw that the mirror actually, when it get releases, it doesn't sticks to it. It goes and bounces off for through two or three times. So that is, it's creating a jerk even while closing and even while opening. So that jerk is captured by the sensor if it is, if your tripod is not steady enough. So always remember, if you are see you are purchasing a camera of 30, 40, 50,000, don't restrict yourself to the tripod of 1,000, 1,500, because it's not worth, and you will always get disappointed. I'm not saying you won't get at all a good photograph, but you have to work a lot and you're risking your own camera. But it's, as far as mobile is concerned, yes, no problem. Even 500 something is okay, the tripod, because the weight of mobile is not so much. But if you are having a DSLR and you're trying to capture with DSLR, remember, please go for a better tripod which will cost more than 3,000, 4,000. Believe me, I have done it and I have faced consequences for it. So please don't repeat the same mistakes. Uh, this is how our shutter speed works. I'll make you understand, as I told you, that as we go to the higher shutter speed, like 1 by 8,000, 1 by 4,000, you can freeze the moment. But as you go down, like 1 by 8, 1 by 4, or 1 second, so the motion is captured by the camera. Now this is mobile phone, so you can clearly see what happens when I change the shutter speed. So here I am changing the shutter speed from something like 1 by 1,000 to 1 by 8, 1 by 4, something like that. So you can see the clear difference between it. Just observe it carefully. Now over here you can see it is 1 by 1,000, so you can see the blades of the fidget spinner. But as and when I move it to 1 by 8 or 1 by whatever, or slow shutter speed, you cannot see anything. You cannot distinguish between the three blades of fidget spinner. So this is how your shutter speed actually works. This is how you capture the motion and freeze the motion with your mobile camera. ISO is pretty simple to understand. It is just increasing, the sensitivity of your sensor, nothing else. It's just increasing the sensitivity. So I won't go into the very technicalities of it, but simply, the pixels are getting multiplied and it is multiplying the light, whatever is, received by it. So it is becoming more sensitive. In very common language, you can say it is becoming more sensitive towards the light. And why it is important? Because in low lighting condition, the light is less. So your sensor have to magnify or, multiply the amount of light that is coming into it. So that is how ISO works. But whenever you are increasing ISO, there is a cost to be paid. Always remember, a cost is involved whenever you are changing the ISO, especially increasing the ISO. The higher the ISO, the higher will be the noise in the image. Now, what is noise? Noise is something which creates grainy image. If you might have seen in the dark, in the night time, if you have captured your photographs of your friends and all with low lighting condition, you will see there are a lot of grains and the photograph is not really very clear and it's quite blurry and very grainy. So that is what is actually the consequence of increasing the ISO. So usually you should not, but because we are capturing the deep sky objects like Milky Way, we have to boost the ISO. But yes, it comes with a cost. Like you can see very clearly the distinction between the same photograph, wherein one photograph is captured by ISO keeping 1 by 100 and other by 3200. So you can see the difference. Image is same, like it is properly lit. You can see the building also, but the problem is the noise. Problem is the noise, especially in the darker areas or in the shadows part of the image. You cannot see mostly any detail, and when you will try to capture or gain the detail, it will really spoil the entire image. So yeah, definitely today we have some technologies or techniques to overcome it. We'll see in some future class, or you can attend my classes whenever you want. This is again some photographs taken by my mobile phone, so I'll just go through it simply. You just have to observe the image and the settings that I have mentioned below the image. Here I have clearly mentioned that it was 16 seconds and ISO was 100. So this was from my terrace. Now you will say, sir, there is a moon in the photograph, and you said that you cannot go beyond 1 by 8. But this is a crescent moon, so yes, it was small, so didn't affect it a lot. So fortunately, I was able to capture it. This is morning sky with Venus. I'm not sure how much it is visible to you guys, but yeah, Venus and other star is visible in the frame in the center of it, with beautiful morning colors of the sky. But you can see it is only 1 second that I have kept, and I also was to the minimum. Orion, I'm pretty sure most of them who are a bit aware of astronomy, they know what Orion constellation is, because this is one of the beautiful constellation that is being observed by beginners to the most professional people around the world, because it is one of the constellation containing everything what we want to know in the universe. It has a newborn star, it has nurseries of stars, I will say, and they have mid-range stars, they have dying star, it has nebulae. Like it's pretty all-in-one package kind of thing for professional people, for expert people who are observing the night sky. And for beginners, it's fascinating because you have nebula, three stars as the known as the waist of the Orion or Orion belt, something like that. You have two stars opposite to each other, Rigel and Betelgeuse. They are different in colors. You can very clearly identify it. It is red and blue, white color. So that is pretty amazing to see it. Now again, you can see the setting is 32 seconds and 400. Pardon me because this is as a small screen and sharing it, so you might not be able to see in detail how it looks. But yes, this is how it is. Now this is ISS, that is International Space Station, captured again with mobile phone only with a long exposure photography. So it traveled from point A to point B in those 32 seconds. So this is how also we understand the star trail. So we capture the star trail in that particular point. So it becomes pretty easy to understand. You can even spot this. Again, this is Jupiter and Saturn. This is way before, almost it's 2016 photograph, I kind of say. This is Big Dipper, known as Saptarishi in India. So you know very well what is Saptarishi, and we have 7 stars into it as 7 sages of them. So it is pretty, all the 7 stars are pretty bright, apart from 1 star. So, but mostly it is also visible in long exposure if you have decent dark skies, even in your city. So this is pretty beautiful object you should target at, because now as summers, yes, it is right above your head after sunset. It is almost, it has risen up. So by, after dinner, like around 10 o'clock or something, it will be right above your head, 9, 10, and you can try to capture it. This is again Saptarishi on the top of the head. You can see over here, it was almost setting. And over here, it is right at top of your head. So we can see it straight ahead with us. This is Orion constellation. These are zoomed photographs. Mobile phone. See, these are mobile photographs. So don't expect a lot that they will be pretty beautiful. And this is from the city sky. So I don't have any details in the city sky because all your dim stars are washed off by the city light. So these are all, most of the photographs are clicked from my terrace, so you won't see any details. Yeah, the photographs which I have taken from the dark skies, you can feel the difference, how beautiful they look. I'll simply suggest, if you don't understand anything in this entire session, no need to worry. Just go ahead, turn on your pro mode and try to change the shutter speed to 32 seconds and try to change the ISO to something as 200, 400 and simply capture the photograph. No need to apply your brains also for that. This is simple mathematics. The longer the exposure, the better will be the photograph. So later on, you will understand, oh, it is pretty bright. Like, the image is getting washed off because I have a lot of light pollution. So in that case, then you can reduce ISO, you can reduce the shutter speed as per requirement. Now, these are pretty rare condition in my city where I can see the Milky Way from my, home terrace. You can see, I can see the Milky Way right from my home terrace, although the terrace are not so beautiful of others. But it's okay. Like, we have to consider that being into the city, it's just surrounded by the buildings. But this is the night where, fortunately, there was cut out, or there was no electricity, and the night sky was pretty beautiful. So I tried to capture, but you can see there is still light. So those lights are like coming from different areas of the city. So that was anyhow enlightening my buildings around me. So even that was pretty intense. You can see over here, Milky Way is quite faint compared to the buildings. This you saw, but only to make you understand what my shutter speed was, because when you zoom in, I won't recommend mobile zoom in because mobile has digital zoom. It doesn't has an optical zoom as we have in the DSLR. We can practically move the optics, but in mobile, no, you don't have that. Today's mobile phone, yes, you have telephotic lens, but it has its own limitation. So I'll not recommend to zoom usually. You can simply crop it. Now, this was my first ever photograph of a comet. So this was, fortunately, I was aware of it in 2019 and it was COVID. So I have to capture it from the city because everything, it was a lockdown. So we weren't supposed to move out. Otherwise, I was willing to move out in the dark skies, but unfortunately I wasn't. But yes, this is again a mobile phone photograph. So you can see a comet very clearly in the photograph. That is how bright actually the Neowise comet was, and it was amazing. It was very beautiful experience. I have even captured with DSLR. You can go ahead and start following me on social media, and you can see there I have uploaded many photographs of it and other stuffs also. These are again clouds. It's amazing. I love the movement of these clouds in daytime, nighttime. So I'm pretty big fan of clouds. I do capture clouds. You can say thunderbolt is also one of my favorite because it's amazing to see them. But that's just your own choice. Rainbow again comes in astrophotography. You can say because it's related to sky, although it is day sky, not night sky. But yes, it is to be considered in the night sky. Now this is one of the night camp I went into near our city, on some mountain. So again, we had access to pretty dark skies, especially north sky. Towards the south was city. So yes, I didn't had access to the south sky, but yes, I had access to the north sky. So again, you can shoot it. There are features of every season, so you can go ahead and try to understand. Like in winter season, there is something known as winter circle and winter triangle. So these are pretty clearly visible six constellations. The six bright stars of six constellations are, when we connect, it becomes a parallelogram. But yeah, we'll call it as a circle, hexagon or something, but we'll call it a circle. So this is how you should understand, and it is pretty beautiful. It looks really very awesome. Like Capella from Auriga, Taurus. In Taurus constellation, you have Aldebaran, which is having a tinge of red color a bit. When you move to Rigel from Orion constellation, it's a blue star, blue white star. You can say very bright comparatively. Sirius is the brightest star in our night sky, apart from planets like Venus and Jupiter. But yes, Sirius is the brightest star in our night sky. So it comes under Canis Major constellation. Then Canis Minor, you have Procyon. Gemini, you have Pollux and Castor. But yes, I'll consider Pollux to be one. We connect both of them, but I'll stick to one. And winter triangle is just simply connecting Procyon, Sirius, and Betelgeuse. So yeah, this is how it goes. Winter triangle and winter circle. I have mentioned the dates because I took this image in those times and I wanted to. But yeah, in coming future also you can do this. You can observe this. Fortunately, yes, you can even capture meteoroids with your mobile phone. This is a very cropped image of the Virgin. This was image, having, we can clearly see it is having a burst effect right at the tip, left bottom corner. You can see the tip where it actually, the glow went down and suddenly it disintegrated. So this is something very amazing. When you see it, when you experience it, it's pretty amazing. You cannot express in words, but when you see it, it's going like fainting and suddenly bursting into it. It's pretty awesome experience. It's fabulous to observe this. And that is what happened actually just 2 days before when I captured the green color meteoroid. Unfortunately, I haven't added it, but there it was there in the video. So you saw that. It was amazing, amazing. Now this is again the power of stacking the image, what I earlier showed you. This is something you should take a screenshot of and try to photograph your, sitting anywhere from around the world. The settings doesn't matters a lot. Mostly they will be the same, mostly near to, plus minus something will be there. But yeah, one stop, two stop, plus minus is okay. But these are the settings you should try to adopt. Now, moonless night, because you can capture night sky pretty beautifully. So yes, you can go for 32 seconds. But when it's moon time, yes, you have to restrict your shutter speed and ISO at the same time. So go ahead, try to capture, because right now we have crescent moon. It's coming near to the equator. So yes, you can go ahead and try to capture the night sky, the evening sky, especially with the beautiful colors and the moon, and it will be pretty amazing. If you're pretty close and your horizon is pretty clear, you can even see Mercury and Pleiades. But again, depends where are you around the world. So this is one thing you should definitely try for and go ahead. Power of dark skies. When I said like earlier also, you should, but once you are confident about your settings, that okay, I have learned all these settings, so now you can go ahead and see the power of the dark skies. Now this is again a photograph from the mobile phone, but of a dark sky. You saw the Orion photograph earlier from the city, and this is from outside the city. I'll still say it is not that dark as some of you might be fortunate enough, they might be having pretty, brutal skies of 2, 3. I'm not that fortunate to have those skies. Our city is 6 and 6.5 something, ranging till 7 also, depending upon the area. But when I move outskirts, it's 4, 5, somewhere in between. It doesn't goes below it. So at the max, I can reach 4. But there are fortunate people who can even reach up to 2 brutal skies. So it's amazing. Now, brutal skies are something you can, understand. It's a unit to measure the night sky pollution. You can go ahead and search for dark skies. So international dark skies. So you can see over there how is your area and where you can go and explore the night sky. But this is the the power of your night sky and mobile phone today. If you have good blending. Now over here, I should say fortunately, because of the city light, the entire landscape was lighted up. And even I captured the details in the night sky. So it was amazing. It was, some Cassiopeia is visible towards a bit of left of the image, center left. So you can see if you know what is Cassiopeia. So it makes M shape or a W shape depending upon from where you are seeing. So it is M shape here over here. Uh, Coming, this is again, northwest sky. Again, you will see beautifully. We are able to see the night sky very beautifully over there. Still, I'm again and again saying this is not pretty dark skies comparatively, but yes, from my city, yes, this is pretty definitely dark skies. Here you can see this is Orion, this is Pleiades, and this is Hydra of Taurus constellation. This is Sirius, so this is Canis Major over here. So it's like amazing blend of the night sky. You can see load of stars, you can explore load of stars. This is Milky Way again. This is old photograph, so consider this. Here you can clearly see this is Jupiter and this is Saturn. So it is like 2019 or before it, where when actually Jupiter and Saturn were near to the Milky Way galaxy. Yes, mobile plus telescope creates or gives you an advantage to a pretty next level, I would say. But again, remember, it's not necessary right now. And if you are interested into it, I will suggest you to find a astronomy group, a astrophotographer group, or some sort of astro club in your city, in or around your city, where they might be having telescopes. So you can go ahead and try to explore with them rather you purchasing it, because you will end up frustrating. It's not that easy, especially the equatorial mounts. So go ahead, have some experience with them, enjoy their company, and then once you are confident, you can ask for their suggestion, which will be the best telescope to be purchased at this point of time. And if not, you can continue with them because they have their equipment and you can enjoy photographing with it sometimes or the other. Now I have what I'm showing, the photographs will be from 10 inches Dobsonian and a mobile phone, and 70 ms solar telescope and a mobile phone. So yes, I do solar photography also and moon photography and other stuff. So this is our moon with mobile phone through 10 inches Dobsonian telescope. It looks really beautiful and I know it's amazing, but believe me, it's nothing in front of the observation you can do with your eyes, because these are all 2D images. But when you view through your eyes, you see the actual 3D image, and that experience is really mind boggling. It's out of the world feeling, especially for those who will view for the first time. Now I have been observing for a very long time, but still I have the same kind of amazing feeling whenever I see through telescopes, especially to moon and planets. Now this is pretty one of the biggest conjunctions in the decade, where Saturn and Jupiter came right in one frame. You can see this is pretty beautiful, awesome, and amazing. It was amazing. You can see the disk of Saturn, which is oval shape. It is not round, and there is one big dot. What is Jupiter? And the 4 dots, 2 dots below and above, are the Galilean moons. Those are the Galilean moons of Jupiter. So that is how amazing photography become to the next level when it comes to telescope with your mobile phone. This is again mobile phone and 10 inches Dobsonian telescope. Here it is kind of full moon, and you can see all the details simply with the mobile phone how I have captured it. And don't get into the trap of those small telephotic lenses which claim that you can zoom in till the moon and those things. There are some beautiful lenses, but they are not worth of purchasing First of all, they are quite expensive, and secondly, if it's not expensive, they are not worth of it. You won't get that kind of detail. So don't waste your money on those things, because you're going to become an amateur astronomer. So for that, I'm suggesting you. Otherwise, it's your choice. This is sun. Again, you can see some sunspots over here. So that is what I usually track. So sunspots are visible. This is from 70 refractor telescope. This is again from 70 refractor telescope. This is solar eclipse of 2020, like 21st June 2020. We had, within a range of 6 months, we had two solar eclipses fortunately visible in India. One was in December, like 26th of December 2019, and second was on the 21st June. So it was pretty close and nearby, and it was amazing to see these. So this is again from mobile phone and 70 refractor telescope. I have tried to capture the entire sequence, how it went from 100% to like 62%, I think so. That is what visible from our place, and it was amazing to see. There are few tips and tricks you should know if you have an option of shooting in the raw file format. Always and always prefer to shoot in raw format. I won't be going into detailing of it, but yes, raw is better than JPEG. Always way better than JPEG. It's flat image, it has more details, and it's amazing. You can extract more details compared to a JPEG file. So raw file helps you to post process and gain more details than compared to a JPEG file. This will be only understood by some professionals, or at least amateur, who know and they have gone through all those things. So just a tip for you: you should always try to shoot in raw mode. Yes, I do agree, raw mode take load of space, like it will be around 30 to 35 MB file, a single file, whereas if you compare to a JPEG file, it can range from 8 MB to 20, 24 MB, something like that. So yes, raw images are pretty heavy files, but you need to understand, the heavier the file, the larger the file. Usually, see, don't take it bluntly, but yes, larger the file, the more details are there into the image stored properly. So you should be very choosy what to photograph with raw mode and what to photograph with JPEG mode. So be very choosy with it, especially if it is the deep sky, like the Milky Way and some other constellation details into the night sky. So I'll prefer raw photograph. It's raw image file format. That's pretty beautiful. Keeping your camera steady, as I have discussed earlier also. So try purchasing a tripod, or try purchasing, if you are shooting with just mobile phone, with your just simple mobile phone, you can even go for a Gorilla Pod. Now, what is Gorilla Pod? Gorilla Pod is really a very small tripod, which is especially designed for mostly for your mobile phone. Even if you can, you can install a DSLR on it, but I don't recommend, because it's already a very small, it's hardly 12 inches maximum kind of a tripod, and it's quite flexible. You can move it any way you want, the legs of those tripods. So Gorilla tripod is the best investment, because it will hardly cost you 300 something. If you go for Digitech, which I have recently ordered, so it will be somehow today or tomorrow I'll be receiving it. So it's only of 300 rupees. So it's pretty convenient. But remember, if you are dedicating yourself, don't rush and try to purchase some new equipments. No. First, try with whatever you have right now. If you don't have tripod, no worry. You can simply put your mobile phone somewhere where you can rest it on some place, and keep it hand free, without any risk of falling the mobile or getting disturbed. So try to do it with your way. Self timer is again one thing you should use, because you have that in your mobile phone and you should use it. That reduces the shake to a very great extent, and you will do these mistakes, at least in the initial stages. You will do these mistakes, and it is pretty common, so it's perfectly fine. But remember, if possible, go for 3 seconds to 5 seconds of self timer whenever you are taking long exposure photography. Use grid. Grid is pretty important. Let me show you. I'm not sure you will be able to see, but I'll simply explain. Like, grid are the two vertical and horizontal lines, two vertical and two horizontal lines passing through your screen. So those are actually the grids. So you can enable it in your mobile phone and simply use it. Why? Because that will make you understand how your frame looks. Is your frame perpendicular or parallel to the the ground or the downside of the frame? So that is because what happens is, many times the frame is not straight and it doesn't looks good. So if the frame is tilted a bit and when you crop it, sometimes you lose the important part of your image. And it has happened many times with me. Like I shot Milky Way, and initially I didn't concentrate on just out of excitement, because now you are going to shoot something which is really mind boggling. So just out of mere excitement, it was not that I didn't knew grid is pretty important, but just out of excitement, I forgot grid was on, but I didn't paid attention to it. Oh, grid lines are such, and my ground is not pretty beautiful. After when I reached home next day, when I started editing it, at that time I realized, oh my goodness, I didn't paid attention, and the ground was not straight. And unfortunately, my Milky Way, the core of Milky Way is getting cut, because when I'm trying to make the frame, you know parallel or straight. So that's how, it's a hard way to understand it, or learn it. So it's better if you learn it before or prior to, with my experience. So yes, uh, use manual focus, especially with mobile astrophotography. Use manual focus, because you cannot focus with your mobile phone on stars. Believe me, you cannot focus. So use manual mode and push it to directly infinity. There are two options visible in your manual focus mode, where it shows a flower, which is the nearest point of your camera, and it shows a mountain, which is the farthest point for your camera. So the farthest point is actually the infinity focus. So try to move your focus to the maximum, that is the mountain. So that will enable you to focus right from the foreground, midground, and the background of the frame. So everything will be in focus in your image. Have planned and unplanned shoots, because yes, I am a believer that many a times I have seen unplanned night outs were pretty amazing compared to a planned night outs. So go ahead and explore things and have fun with the night sky and enjoy photographing it. Learn from your mistakes. Remember, learning from your mistakes is what is pretty important. Try to analyze what you have done in your image after coming back home next day, or coming weekend. You can sit and try to analyze, oh, I used this shutter speed, this ISO, and somehow I didn't use the self timer. So because of that, I can see there was a bit of blurriness in the image. So I should use self timer next time. Or my mobile was not kept properly, it was moving a bit. Or especially if your mobile phone is on normal mode and your vibration is on while receiving a message and call, it will ruin your photograph. Although it is only one photograph, but yeah, still it will ruin, especially. So turn off your GPRS, Wi-Fi, and if possible, I won't say put it on flight mode, but if possible, put it on flight mode. Otherwise, at least turn off your GPRS, because what happens is WhatsApp is one thing where you receive a lot of messages, and if your vibration is on, believe me, all of your photographs will get ruined. So that is one thing you should really keep in mind. Very important. Refer to amateur. Yes, you can refer to amateur exports, photographs on social media and everywhere, and you can see what all they have captured. And even if you want, you can go ahead and see in the details of the image when you go in the settings. Now if you want to learn, you can learn it by yourself also. When you are photographing, you can, like I have shared you the shutter speed and ISO. But if you want to learn by yourself also, you can go ahead and go in settings, and in settings there is something known as EXIF. So X5, those are something details or properties. Simply go in the properties of the image. There you can see the details of your camera, what it has used, what shutter speed it has used, what ISO was there, what focal length was there, and what was your aperture. Although focal length and aperture is not changeable in mobile phone, but yes, it will show you. So those details are pretty important, especially as a beginner, to understand where I did mistake. And ever never ever use flash in astrophotography, especially the mobile photograph. You can use other mobile flash when you are trying to eliminate a person. Like for example, if I want to shoot me with a Milky Way in the background, so I have to eliminate myself with some torch. Don't use the mobile torch for it. It's not recommended at all. Use another person mobile phones, or simply ask some other person to put a flashlight on you for a very fraction amount of time, because within fraction second of within hardly 1 second or something, your entire body will be covered by the camera. So no need for complete 32 seconds of light on you. So this is how, but yeah, mainly don't use your flash of the mobile phone from which you are taking the photograph. Never ever use flash. That's all from my side, guys. You can connect me on the social media. I am pretty active, at least from COVID I am, and I'm more active on Instagram. Facebook, Twitter, I am not so active, but yes, I am also there also. But yes, I'm Instagram, I'm pretty active. You can follow my page, you can follow my and understand what all how I am doing it, and it's pretty amazing, and get inspired by those. Although I am not an expert, I am still a basic amateur, I would consider myself. I have just recently started it, and I'm doing it with continuing my profession. So just as a passion, I have started it, and somehow I have learned by my own self. A very thankful gratitude to Hex-Star Universe, and congratulations to them that they have arranged such a beautiful event for their audiences. It is pretty helpful in today's world where we are trying to move our education from a normal or so-called bias kind of thing. If we think about graduation and post-graduation, we only think about engineers, doctors, and something like that. It has moved way beyond it today. So it's pretty important to go into astronomy and do it with the interest. Like you can become a mechanical engineer with astronomy interest. So definitely you will have more opportunities and more terms of payment. Yes, you will have more payment into the astronomy field, the space industries. Now fortunately, Modi government have allowed privatization of astronomy or rocket science, so called. So there are 14 to 15 industries, private industries, that have set up apart from ISRO in India, and they are working upon it. So you can, because most of you who are still pursuing graduate, postgraduate, you are, the future of India, and you can have that opportunity. So I'll definitely suggest you guys to take an interest into astronomy. It doesn't matter what you do. Even you're doing biology, astrobiology is one of the things. If you're a doctor, you can take interest into astronomy and you can become a doctor in space. Because yes, in future we will be requiring doctors in space, wherein they can study the body, the anatomy of a human being, what affects the body of a human being, and they are studying the zero gravity. There are own challenges. So nothing is there in the education system which is not related to astronomy. Anything and everything is related to somehow to astronomy. So thank you very much, guys, and I'll give on the mic to the Somjit and other guy. And if you have any questions, we can take some questions if possible. Yes, Somjit.
Thank you, sir, for this wonderful session. And the pictures you showed us just, they were amazing, literally beautiful. So now we have some comments in the YouTube section. I would like you to answer those questions.
Okay,
We'll
sure.
ping them in the chat.
Okay. iPhone, I'm not there aware of, but I think so. That's pro camera something, and it also depends that which iPhone do you have. If you have a version of iPhone which is older than iPhone 11 or something older than that, what I have seen is it allows you only 1.2 seconds of maximum exposure. Unfortunately, yes, it doesn't allows you to have 32 seconds of exposure. But if you see iPhone 13 or so, they do have access to it. And I think so the name of it is, I'm not recollecting, but it's pro camera. If you search it on your Play Store, or the tunes, Apple tunes, so you will look for it, and that is the only app that will come first in the list. Any more questions? How can we capture the Milky Way? Mobile app to capture Star Trail Android. There are some purchased version wherein you can go for Star Trail, but yes, I won't recommend it right now. If you have Poco mobile, then definitely Poco is one of the mobile, or mobile industry which is providing time lapse with pro mode. So I have I can take many photographs with my own settings. So I can keep 32 seconds ISO. I can change settings I want, and I can adjust, and I can take a lot of photographs at a time. It is something that is known as introvoltmeter. So if you go ahead and try to search for introvoltmeter, so there are some application, but those are all purchased one. Right now, don't focus on star trail. Try to focus on deep sky, or taking photographs like of Milky Way, the night sky, the constellation. So once you are you get confident, you get hands on it, then you can go ahead and purchase it, because it's pretty I think so it's 130 or 150 bucks software, so it is not pretty expensive also. But don't rush. As I said, right now what happens is, in excitement, you go ahead, you purchase it, and you don't use it later on. So first learn things from the equipments or things you have, and then jump into it. One of them asked Milky Way. So I have mentioned to take a screenshot of cheat sheet. So the cheat sheet contained the first column, the red color, where it specifically mentioned moonless night. So yes, moonless night, you can capture Milky Way, and even in the crescent moon, because after 12 a.m. you don't have moon in the night sky, so it is as good as moonless night. So you can go forth for 32 seconds, and ISO may vary from 400 to 1600 and 3200, depending upon the light pollution you have in your sky. Yes. Right now, the right time of capturing the Jupiter and Saturn, now they both are to the extreme end of the alignment. Actually, Venus is now at the bottom side, but just few days back, Jupiter was at the bottommost side. So there are 4 planets visible in the morning sky. If you see from the top or from the bottom, I would say bottom, the bottom one is Venus, which is the brightest star in the eastern sky. Then above it comes Jupiter, then red color star is Mars, and then comes Saturn. So you can clearly distinguish these planets because they are pretty bright, and you can see even from the city light. So go ahead and capture it. It's amazing to see. If you have dark skies, it will give you a mind-blowing images. Unfortunately, I'm sorry I wasn't able to update the recent photographs that I have taken of those alignments. But yes, I have captured, and soon I'll be uploading those images. But yes, that is how you can capture Jupiter, Saturn in the morning sky around just an hour before sunrise. So you can say after 4:30. Yes. I won't. I don't know how good Samsung M1 Pro is. Now it's you who have to go and try to explore your settings. Do you have Pro mode first of all? And if you have Pro mode, I'm pretty sure Samsung doesn't give you liberty of shutter speed. It gives only the shutter speed to higher end mobile. I don't know why it does, but yeah, I have seen most of them asking me for Samsung, so I knew that Samsung doesn't provides shutter speed. So you have to go in your camera, the stock camera, and go in Pro mode of camera, and there you have to see, is it allowing you to change the shutter speed? If it is allowing, that's beautiful, you can capture anything. But if it's not allowing, then it's a bit of problem. Then you have to purchase some apps, and even I'm not sure, still it will allow you. So go through the comments and ask the company itself, the application developer, will my mobile will be able to access me some long exposure photography. Don't directly blindly go and purchase anything. To everyone, this is for everyone, not only Samsung, even for iPhone users. Ask the developers first that this is my mobile model and this is what I want. I want 32 seconds or 30 seconds of long exposure. Will I get? Ask this question to the technical teams, and once you are satisfied with the answer, then only go and purchase it. Otherwise you will be again disappointed. Sorry to disappoint you guys, like it's Faisal, sorry to disappoint you, because I'm not pretty sure Samsung M1 provides that feature. Yes. Andromeda Galaxy with mobile phone is not so recommended because it's pretty small thing in the photograph. But yes, still you can capture it. You can see it. That is something hazy in it. But for that, you really requires a very dark sky, and you should know some advanced techniques of photo stacking and editing in the Photoshop to regain all the details and all those things. So there are a lot of things involved in it. But yes, you can capture. I'll recommend, if you have DSLR, go for DSLR. Otherwise, right now start with the night sky and then slowly understand, oh, this is how it looks. Like I'll prefer Orion Nebula over Andromeda Galaxy. Go for Orion Nebula. It is one of the brightest nebula or deep sky object. So start capturing it and then slowly shift it towards the Andromeda. Anyway, Andromeda is not visible right now. It's still at the in the morning sky. Also, it is below the horizon or just above the horizon. So we have still few months to go to bring it right on the top. Any more questions from your side, guys? Even if you also have, you can ask. You're free to ask. Haritra and Somjit. Because I'm pretty sure even you might be having some questions.
Sir, I have the Poco X3 Pro phone.
Oh, nice. You have inbuilt time lapse mode in it. You can capture 600 photographs in a go. So you can capture star trail actually in pro mode. Poco X3 has provided that feature and it's amazing. You don't have to purchase any app for that. Lucky you, I will say.
Thank you, sir. I think that the questions are over. So
Done? Okay.
just yes, sir. The questions are over. I think none of them have any more questions.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
thank
no
you for this
problem.
wonderful session, sir. Once again,
Most
and
welcome.
thank you for helping those who are really interested in this field.
Yes. Okay. Chalo. Bye bye, guys. Good day.
Bye, sir. Bye. Thank you
Bye.
so much.
Thank you, sir.